Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Feel like domino. Hey,
Hello,
given
We still gotta
everybody.
make a theme. Oh,
three.
Welcome to
Only
Irongeek Cast number 55, Max Stacks and Pancakes. Title from Charles, who's also providing our background music.
Hmm.
How's it going, everybody?
Doing great. Happy it's Wednesday and rocking out. Ow!
Cool.
doing pretty good. Just started classes in Europe. Feeling good.
All right.
How about you, Jack?
Jack.
Right now I am doing I am installing Raspbian on my 15th Raspberry Pi this week.
Okay, what kind of project you got that requires 15 Raspberry Pis? Or you sitting
Right.
somebody?
There's a couple that I'm using on projects, and then this one right here I'm using to build a cluster.
I was gonna say, it's like you better be clustering those.
Mm-hmm.
I still need
No, I'm only clustering 10 of them. The other 5 are for projects.
Sweet. High in the sky, baby.
All right, I guess I'll do my normal what cons I have upcoming. I got back from Huntsville, but I didn't get to record anything. But I did teach a lot of lockpicking.
Okay.
Nice.
Then I got B-Sides Tampa coming up on February 17th.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's sooner than it thinks like should be longer than that. Okay. B-Sides Nova at February 24th.
Uh-huh.
B-Sides Columbus March 2nd. B-Sides Indy March 10th. And B-Sides Chattanooga March 24th. Then I have Aid on April 5th and 6th. And one of my favorite B-Sides, B-Sides Nashville, coming up April 14th. Other favorite B-Sides is B-Sides Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
One has the best barbecue. One has all-day free Bloody Marys. So, it's hard to pick.
Oh man. Just
Very
beautiful.
nice.
That's a beautiful time right there.
All right.
That is it.
Yeah, I agree. It's some good stuff. All right. Well, let's go ahead and start this thing off. And early parts of the show notes all put in there by Charles. So, state of the security landscape. Where were we going with this?
Yeah, well, just I was having what brought this up. I was having a good conversation with a couple of my good friends, and again, they're trying to they're in the process of looking for new gigs. One of my good friends actually landed a new gig. It didn't take him long; it was less than a month. And I was just ranting and raving, just saying, this is a time to really be into security. I don't care. You don't have to be a pen tester. You don't have to be a security researcher. But if you know how to harden something, if you know how to protect something, this is the time. This is our time as techies, as people who are trying to change the rules of the security landscape that's been ruled by people for over the last 25 years. I think now it's time to rewrite rules. And we see a lot of people doing it. We see a lot of people making different changes.
Well, you don't even have to have the knowledge or the skill set. You just have to have the ability to learn.
Exactly.
I would go that far.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed when I first started the security team. It's just my sysadmin was totally on board with learning and just trying to figure out how do we fix the things that I was finding and all that fun stuff. And even the developers as well, I would show them like, hey, we're leaking this. And they'd be like, oh, we got to fix that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were willing to learn. And the fun thing is that we're all students. So the whole landscape is going to change very drastically from people who are kind of, in my opinion, in a very broad sense, set in their ways, and then you're gonna have people that are a little more pliable to say like, okay, and then it doesn't even go into like just security itself. That they'll go into just even development or dev teams as well.
Yeah, I mean that is true. And then and even to piggyback even further, because you notice now, and I love this movement of teams actually collaborating. You got your red teamers actually talking to blue teamers, which hasn't been done in God knows how long. Because everybody, and maybe you can attest to this, like for the last, let's say 10, 11 years or so, a lot of people were in their own little island. What they felt was secure is what was secure to them. So however their network or however their project that we're working on, however they secured it, they thought that was the best thing. Everybody had the best recipe. But now it seems like teams are collaborating, teams are talking, people are talking back and forth and getting great ideas and sharing ideas. And then on top of that, they're coming up with new recipes. They're swapping recipes. And people are actually taking a liking to the fact that, hey, I know I'm feeling more secure over here, but then that product, not even that product, that solution or whatever you were doing over there, how can I apply that to what I'm working on? And then everybody's kind of collaborating. I love, that's why I said, like, the state of the security landscape seems to be shifting. It seems to be changing to more unicorn style, if that makes any sense, you know, because before you just didn't see a lot of that. Everybody was in their own line. Well, this is how I do it. This is the most secure, and that's it. This is all I use. And it seems like that attitude is shifting a little bit, and I love it.
Yeah, it's super cool seeing that.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of comes with seeing more and more of these high volume breaches. Because you see these giant things where people are like, just to piggyback off the recipe idea, like someone's got like the recipe, like Equifax had their own recipe, but
Right.
then they have the largest breach in history or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone's like, well, if they got hacked and they're supposed to be the ones that are supposed to be like top tier, it's like we got to start collaborating with people because we don't have the resources for this. So we got to figure out agreements for that.
Well, it's not just that. Equifax got fucking owned. They got owned because they didn't want to follow up. They didn't want to do the nuts and bolts work of rebuilding what they had.
Yeah, they didn't want to do their due diligence kind of thing.
And I wonder, and you know something? And maybe it was that kind of thinking. And I'm just saying, I don't know who was, you know, involved in that project. Maybe that kind of thinking, like, well, my way is the secure way, and we don't need to do anything else.
Hmm. Which is odd considering it was a public-facing IP or something like that.
Yeah.
IP in the sense being like property, not address.
Yeah. And so I that's why I say I like how the shift is now. Even to your point when you mentioned development, I like the fact that they're doing a lot of full stack now. I like that they're going back to I love that they're going back to the client side to use the client's processing power and not putting all the load on the server, like with full Node.js full stack. And I think Python developers are trying to do full stack as well too. I think so. I think they are too.
I'm not sure on that per se, but I know from the applications that I've been building and working on in Python, I've been doing just everything. And just for like side projects, but my stuff is more geared towards, in Python at least, is geared towards something like a security tool or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But still.
Yeah, and one thing I found interesting too, Go is trying to step up, you know, their efforts in like security tool game. I don't know, Ruby to me seems like it's been kind of quiet. What you guys think? I don't know. I've heard, you know, before like a while, like I'd say like last 5 or 6 years, everybody was all about Ruby. Ruby's this, blah 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 blah. You know, just
I need a Ruby developer to write Rails code. You know, that sort of deal.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the main thing that I've heard from it is that if you're writing Ruby, you're writing it for Rails. You're not making applications like straight Ruby. You're using Ruby on Rails to make applications with their version of a MVC framework.
So you mean to tell me that Ruby is not a gem in its own right?
I'm just saying it's from my own experience, which is in academia. So
heavens to Betsy. So why do we have Sinatra? I love doing a little wordplay with different technologies, man. You know.
What was it we were doing last week with the I'm all about that bass or whatever. I'm trying to
All
remember
about that bass, all that bass, big
Basic
Cody.
code.
Well,
Yeah, there you go.
security is a good field to get into. Or recommend it for anybody who's like, currently some kind of STEM major, like let's say computer science or whatnot.
Mhm.
But the question that we do get asked is, if you, how do you get your first job?
Yeah.
Well, I'm out
now,
of this conversation.
What now?
So you could be in this conversation. Talk. What's up? What you think?
Well, no, I mean, like my only like right now, I made my own job, but I'm also
Okay.
a student, and it's just like in academia. So I'm like, I don't know what the actual real world is. At this point, I'm still a student, but from what I've gathered, it's just if I was to make a comment, it would be making a network of people that you know that are in the industry that you want to be a part of is like the most crucial thing, because they'll be the ones that are like, hey, I've got a job for you or something like that. Or even it doesn't even have to just limit it to just like professors that, it can be people outside of it that they know or something like that. I don't know.
Okay. No, I mean this is good info.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially how I got in. I mean,
I started
Started
a
off-
blog, and I started doing talks places, and got to know some people, network, and eventually I got hired.
Yeah.
I was about to kind of elaborate on that. To elaborate on what Adrian's saying as well. Okay, I'm gonna put myself in. I'm gonna put myself in a college student shoe. I'm just, if I was just getting out of college now, the first thing I would do is ask my parents for some money to send me to a conference, and I would actually get out there and just network my ass off. Not even just a regular conversation. Of course, while you're networking, continue to be working on something. Continue to be working on a project, especially open source. The cool part about open source is, you can count that as experience as you work on it.
Right.
So if you're working on a cool project, or if you're creating a project, that counts as all experience. And thank God now they have GitHub where you can actually upload all your efforts and your code so everybody can actually see it and see what you've been working on. And one, not only are you getting experience, not only are you getting better, but two, you're making yourself a lot more marketable because you have one, you have your passion and your drive to do this. And two, you're meeting people who are in the industry already or have been in the industry, maybe retired, but they know other people that are doing exactly what you're doing and can plug you in somewhere.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring up. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. You said interesting. Bring up what?
It's interesting. It's interesting. Sorry, I'm 2 beers in. Interesting that you bring up conferences because last October I got the chance to go to Cybersecurity Summit in Minneapolis, Minnesota for free because one of my professors was like, "Hey, you're," because background, I also run a student and am vice president of a student security group where we just kind of like we're just teaching what we know to to other students that want to learn about security stuff, just basic pen testing stuff.
I like that.
Yeah, it's super fun. I had a lot of fun writing those presentations at 3 a.m. Sunday night.
Hey, welcome to the glorious life.
Yeah, but anyway, that's actually not to like super brag or anything, but there was I was sitting at one of the tables in the convention center, and I'm just waiting for a talk, and one of the speakers actually sat down next to me. I didn't realize he was one of the speakers at the conference, and I just started talking with him a little bit, and then I was like, and then we started comparing like who we followed on Twitter and whatever, and what like different cons we should go to, because this guy was a pretty not I'm trying to figure out the word. He'd been around a bunch of the cons, so he's gone to like Derby cons and since forever ago, and DEF CON when it was like DEF CON 3 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, "Oh yeah," and then we like met. I mentioned a couple people that I followed on Twitter, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like I know him," and I like one name stuck out, but it was like Hacking Dave or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's super." He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm like super good friends with him or something like that," and I was like, "Oh sweet." And then later that night, he and I followed each other on Twitter after that, and later that night, I randomly was looking at my phone. I'm like, "Oh. Okay, Hacking Dave just followed me. That was interesting."
Yeah.
So, and then talk to him a little bit about some social engineering tactics when I was getting ready for a prospective pen test that might have involved some social engineering. So just having a good resource. That's also why I love like Twitter and like the openness of the InfoSec community.
Yeah. And that's man, like you're like so far ahead and on the right track with that, because again, I mean, everybody, a lot of people are just, we're here to help and try to, make things better. That's the goal. I mean, everybody got their own personal reason why they got in and everything, but I mean, that's what it's all about, man.
For the chicks.
Oh, for the chicks, that's what it was? Oh, that's what it was?
No, Adrian, I already screwed it. No.
Nope, do not put me in that. Do not put me in that conversation.
No. Talking InfoSec with chicks does not work, or at least the way I did today did not work. I explained like brute force, or I explained like what my side project was to a chick today in very technical terms, and I was like, "Oh no, I just screwed up."
Ooh, ouch.
First of all, you know where you screwed up, and this was a non-technical person you were talking to, right?
Mm-hmm. It was like a business student, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah, you don't do that.
Yeah.
You try to when you
First
talk
of
to
all,
yeah.
Go ahead, Jack.
You gotta meet the woman on her level, not
So we were talking about it was like in the conversation, and then my mind immediately went there or something like that because I don't know why. Whatever, probably just sleep deprived, jet lag, whatever. I don't know.
You know what scared her? You know what probably scared her? Because you were talking about this, and you were saying red flag words that probably made her nervous, like brute and force and overflow. These are things that could get tricky. What's a brute force? That sounds painful.
I'm triggered. He's talking about rape.
No. That's actually a side note. That's like one thing that I love about Europe so far is I don't have to worry about that.
Look at that. Beautiful.
The triggered thing does not exist here. It's like I've said some shit that's like if I said it here would have been like, or said it in the US, it would have been like, whoa, you're like gonna get sued or something like that. But I am in the Netherlands at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then coming back, I kind of sort of got in trouble because of that.
But you know something? So I guess the conversation is a little bit okay. I didn't realize where you were located, so it's probably like, oh, brute force. Oh, I like that. Let's try that. Can we do a little brute force overflowing?
Yeah, and she's Eastern European, so I'm not putting that past it.
Yeah, be careful about that.
Yeah. I'm like,
yeah. You get it to close quarters. You shock of your life. You'd be like, wait, what you doing? You said brute force.
No, what was actually funny is I have this USB like key one of those like key shaped USBs that I have a bootable Kali instance on, and that's actually how she started talking to me. She's like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I had to explain what that was, but whatever.
Let me show you.
I can take over. I can take over any machine with this if I want to.
And then she'll flip it, be like, "So you're gonna take? You said you could take over anything?
Let's go to
No, she.
let's go to Bank Squirrel.
Yep.
No, she was like, "Can I borrow it?" And I'm like, "What?"
Oh.
I'm
Sure.
like, well, it's like, why? Anyway, we should probably get back on topic, not get on Caprico's weird exploits in Europe.
I just want to see what he can do. Holy crap.
So yeah, security landscape. But, and even in that sense, so I can kind of tie this back into it. She is a business student, and I've also run into a couple of other business students or IT students that have a more business focus. And I've told them, I'm like, this is also a good area for you to get into, because we need project managers for both development projects and security projects, because otherwise we're not going to have enough people that, especially if you get specialized in it and you are familiar with all the different compliances and all the different terms and stuff like that, that's going to be huge, and you'll be a huge or a much more marketable person otherwise. I got you, James. Do.
What happened? Everybody went silent.
Yeah, I was wondering if I lost connection, because I also have really crappy Wi-Fi here. It's like I think I have like one access point like under the floor that's serving like 10 people, and it's 15 meg up and 15 down. But I don't know. I think everyone's like looking at what James is putting into the show notes right now. Titled "No is not a boundary," which we will get to in, I believe, later on. That looks interesting. But yeah, like Adrian, you've been in the security landscape for a while. Like, what's your take on like what we've been saying? I guess.
And like I said, it's a good field to get into. And technically, I've only had a real security job since 2012. But I've been hanging around since, at least 2004, because that's when I started my website. And I just kept a university job for a long time because I'm a lazy bastard. Honest, lazy bastard. But I think it's a good field. Like I said, the networking thing is a big thing to get out there and get your name out there, go speak. Even if you don't think you have anything particularly novel to speak on, people still need, non-novel talks to give intros to things,
Yeah, like I did a research project and on RFID, just kind of like a basic overview, and then and then dived specifically in how cloning impacts security, and also like how to do it, and understanding the transmission formats and stuff like that between the card and the reader, which my professor was like, you need to do this at like a talk at like Secure 360 or like a B-Sides or something like that. And I'm like, it's like, this has already been done like so many other times before, and I'm also quoting other people's research, specifically Bishop Fox, so which they're like the big name that I found in this. So maybe something I'll do later, maybe not, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to really say on a security landscape. I know, wait, that was who I saw. I'm trying to see who all joined.
James just joined.
Sorry, Nightshade was on here for a very short time, and then he popped off.
I just hopped in, but I was eating pizza, so I didn't unmute myself.
All good.
I was gonna say with that RFID thing, if you kind of tied that into like blue teaming with the RFID and monitoring, because I've noticed a lot of people don't monitor, or you can't monitor your access controls on your doors because it's a legacy system, and it's like damn near impossible to get the info out of it.
Yeah, so that's kind of the interesting thing, and why I called the paper that I titled with it was RFID, the new old security vulnerability, where it was like you would have like these legacy systems that were running off of like MyFair cards from whatever, and then and all that stuff. But yes, and I was focusing on the cloning of it, but I think the next part of it was going to be
like
any sort of mitigation tasks or
like detecting
kind of it.
Like detecting the impossible traveler type stuff, somebody's VPN in from Europe, but they're just badged in at your home area, your home office or whatever.
Right. That's totally different. That's like totally wrong.
Because that person may actually be there, but their card's been cloned, and somebody's like, "Oh, I know they're out, so I'll just badge in and go steal stuff."
Right. Which is actually, in my case, might actually be a thing if someone were to get my cloned RFID badge, which is a HID or HID system. Yeah, HID corporation, not human interface device.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They supposedly the more secure of the all of them. They're all the same. Like
they are all the same, and
they're all craptastic.
If you can get it so that you're getting the bytes or the individual bits back, and you can write those bits in the same order onto a different card of the same spec, you basically just that you can do that to any card.
Yeah, you just need an HID card reader router.
Yeah.
$16
off eBay.
There's a couple of different. I've used the $16 readers, and those usually are only good for low frequency RFID chips, which are within 125 kilohertz. The ones that are used by HID now, and even some Indala cards and Indala systems, are pushing the high frequency, they are in the high frequency and are pushing it. They're in the high frequency range of 13.5 megahertz, mega with an M. So that's also a thing. So, and having the equipment that will actually put out a radio signal at that frequency is much more expensive than your 125 kilohertz or low frequency readers that you can get from China for like $20. Which that was a fun purchase.
So you said 1.5 megahertz?
13.5. 13.5. Yeah.
Megahertz.
And then ultra high frequency is something like 500 to 900 megahertz. I have a chart of it somewhere.
So what about like crystal, like old school crystal radios were 72 megahertz?
Are those can you even get those nowadays? I'm sure you can.
You can still find the crystals on eBay and like some like RC group forums and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if you could kind of modify one of those to transmit the signals you need.
The other part of that is you would need some way to interpret it back as well, and then because I didn't have to, but what I did is I built or bought the components for an Arduino board and Arduino antenna that would read at 13.5 megahertz, and I found a script that would read MyFair cards. So I just explained how cloning would work with that. But You would need to have some sort of microcontroller attached to that as well, and I'm not sure.
What
if
about
ever
like
you would have a
what
microcontroller.
about SDR Sharp? Would that be able to pick up and translate that? Is there some sort of plugin for that?
Let me look that up. SDR Sharp. Is it AirSpy that makes it?
Yeah, I think so.
Hmm.
Yeah, using the SDR stuff, you know.
See, we've been joined by the Gecko and Will.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yo, yo.
I know Owie asked for the link. I sent him the link, but he hasn't joined yet.
Shalom, shalom.
Hey.
How's it going?
Long shalong. What? Oh, sorry.
Oh, you saw ramen.
I made a bad taste joke.
Anyway,
Oh.
yeah, security is a good field to be in. That's pretty much sums up my view on it.
Yep.
I would say these are for all this cool tech stuff going out there. Have y'all seen the I labeled it "Dude, Where's My Car" on the notes. Y'all seen the testing of the rocket that SpaceX created? Was it the
Falcon Heavy?
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
They put one of Elon Musk's Teslas up into orbit, and there was like a webcam you could watch it on.
Wow. I haven't seen that yet.
So my question was, where's the car going?
Apparently, it was originally supposed to go out into Mars's orbit and then start going back around the sun and so forth. But apparently, they overshot. There was a miscalculation. Well, I don't know if a miscalculation or something went wrong with the firing, and now it's going out to the asteroid belt between, I think, Mars and Saturn. Or is it Uranus? It's Uranus, isn't it?
Like a billion years from now. So.
Damn it! I don't remember the order of the planets now. Shit. Uranus is just after Mars.
Is it on Mars?
No, it's Jupiter.
It's Jupiter.
Yeah, it's Jupiter. Yeah. It's Mars and Jupiter. There's an asteroid belt in between the vast expanse that is that.
So
it's behind you.
Oh. Anyway, but the pictures look really kind of cool. Let me see if I can share my screen.
Oh yeah, and I love the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference in those.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Imagine the alien archaeologist in like a billion years. Like, what the fuck is this thing?
I'm just waiting. I was gonna laugh if that thing crashed into the sun. I'm actually more surprised.
No. It'll just crash. It'll crash on an alien planet, and they'll think it's an act of war.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this is a mode of
Fucking
transportation.
lipo batteries will blow up and kill a bunch of people.
Video?
Thanks a lot, Elon Musk, for saying where it came from.
Right.
Printing on a freaking circuit board. Now we're all gonna die because of you.
It takes a long time to go anywhere in
this was a
space.
joke. Yeah,
No.
I originally thought that was a joke when I saw the diagram of Elon Musk's like car or the Tesla inside of the Falcon as a payload, and then I'm like, wait, no, they actually did this. Holy crap!
Yeah, I think even if why is it they didn't want to accidentally waste the expensive? Well, it's pretty expensive to launch regardless. Though apparently it's way cheaper than what some of the stuff NASA's been doing.
Well, it's because they recover the boosters, so they recover a lot of their cost.
Yeah, I've seen some funky thing of it landing vertically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that for like 2 years now.
They've had that for a couple of years.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but to be fair, NASA's kind of doing research where Elon Musk is just being the tech version of Tony Stark. Well, more of a real life Tony Stark.
Mm.
All right, Elon Musk, if you're listening, I volunteer to fucking test the first Iron Man suit.
I second this. Let him volunteer to be the first Iron Man.
I volunteer to be the War Machine.
Wait, remember though in Iron Man, was it Iron Man 2 or 3 where they did that and someone was trying to make their own Iron Man suits and it malfunctioned, like broke a guy?
I think that was 2.
2.
Yeah, I think you're right, because then that was the one that Brody got his outfit in.
Yes.
You just got to put freaking stop, like on the 3D printer, it's got the little actuator at the end,
I remember seeing a video of a guy in in Europe, he was making 3D printed prosthetic arms for kids that obviously that had either amputations or were born with a missing arm or something like that. And he just made it so that they were like Iron Man themed or whatever theme that the kid wanted, and they were like fully functional, like 3D, well, not fully functional, but like multifunctional 3D printed arms. It was super cool. I mean, I'll see if I can
That's
find
fucking
that later.
awesome.
Yeah,
That is fucking awesome.
But the original thing that he did first was he originally designed it for himself, and then he started seeing kids, and he's like, "Well, I made one," so now he just kept repurposing his design and kept measuring it out, and then like the parents pay him like whatever it is in materials, and then he keeps making arms as they grow up.
Materials for 3D printing is fucking nothing too.
Yeah.
Someone could have a Wolverine claw then.
Yeah. Oh, there. A side note, since we're for 3D printing, there apparently at the university that I'm going to, there is a chocolate 3D printer.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm in heaven. You said chocolate?
And
That's pretty awesome.
My buddy told me that, and my immediate thought was, someone has made a penis out of chocolate with that.
Oh my
The question is not if, the question is how many.
Yeah,
Right.
That's true.
And then,
How many and when did they go in mass production?
and what was it modeled after?
Oh my goodness.
And were they able to sneak in penises onto other sculptures that the administration was not otherwise aware of?
I was walking down the hall and someone like drew. There's just like random chalkboard in the hallway, and someone just drew this massive dong on the chalkboard, and I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, so it's like, think of it like the artwork for the original Little Mermaid. Like there's like a castle in the background, but if you look really closely, parts of the castles were actually penises. So I'm thinking, could do something like that, but with chocolate.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I love my life.
Because I'm seeing where artists sneak in penises elsewhere, like fucking. Since we're linking me like the new Yu-Gi-Oh mobile game, looking some artwork and cards. The fairy dragon is just a disembodied penis.
Oh, dual links. Yeah.
Line dicks.
I'm playing that a little bit.
Yeah. The future is not all bad. That is kind of pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, the whole point of the first point of the podcast in the show notes is, the future's looking great for all of us. All the security nerds.
It depends on your outlook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If it's for job security, yeah. If it's for the world you want to live in, that varies from person to person.
I mean, in my little perfect world, everything would be 8-bit pixels and money would just fall out the sky. Well, we wouldn't even need money.
You have to hit your head on a block every time you wanted money.
Yeah. And
You have to punch trees.
Common misconception.
Not every block, but the correct block.
Right, yeah. You don't
Common
want to
misconception about that, it's actually he's hitting it with his fist.
Yep. And on top of that, we get to dress up how we want, and whether it's raccoon suits or frog suits or tanuki outfits.
And you get to eat mushrooms, so.
And animal abuse is apparently sanctioned and approved. Yeah. Mario actually punched Yoshi in the head every time he wanted Yoshi to eat something. Yeah, that was actually official.
Yeah.
As a baby.
Somebody's got a Fast and the Furious 32 thing up. It's got Vin Diesel in his what do you call it, next to the Tesla car with the spaceman.
Oh man.
No.
Oh my goodness.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, life. Again, it's
kudos
all
to Elon Musk, though.
It's all in what you picture it to be. Oh my goodness, my lovely wife. Thank you.
People worry about everybody else's shit too much. That's what the problem is.
That is true.
Fucking stay in your own lane.
See, I got to give a shout out to my wife. she just brought me dinner while I'm on the podcast. Yes.
Nice.
I love you.
Hey, Charles' wife.
Yay.
Yay!
I'd
Awesome.
clap, but it's almost 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Man. And some healthy stuff at that, too. I got spinach. Can't buy this.
Right, is it like steamed spinach or like baby spinach?
Steamed,
like
baby.
fresh?
Steamed with some brown rice.
Like pie status spinach.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't do the steamed spinach, man. It's
Join us next week where the Irongeek cast is some sort of spinach themed podcast. I don't know.
Hey, well, you saw the theme this week, Smash Stacks and Pancakes.
Mm-hmm. The rest of the titles are just going to be food-based infosec jokes.
Hey, I'm
It's not bad. It's not bad.
on one podcast, on one of the podcasts, I was talking about, you know how I learned the LVM file system?
Mm.
The LVM file system in Linux, I treat it like the peanut butter jelly sandwich. But what I mean by that is like
explain.
Now the bottom buns are the PVs, physical volume, and then you have the VGs and the LVMs, which are the peanut butter and jelly or whatever else that you're into in the middle. And then you put your file system on, that's the top bun, and voila. And users bite into the LVM file system. That's how I learned how the LVM file system is. So I always reference this as a peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time.
Exactly. And whenever I want to make changes, and stuff, and I just stab it with the VF stab file if I'm in Solaris. But if I'm in Linux,
How do you take the crust off?
How do I take the crust off?
Yeah.
I prune it. Old school command there. Prune. Or sneep it. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Insane.
Stupid peanut butter jelly song stuck in my head.
Yep. Peanut butter jelly. Yep.
Was it buckwheat man? Or buckwheat?
But that's that's why that's how I learned it. But speaking of LVM and open source and all the other good stuff, and like I said, just moving on real quick with the show notes. I posted on Rocking Out with Overt. Now, has anybody used Overt before?
I have not. This is new territory for me.
Overt is in 100% open source virtualization management platform. And it all uses and it just uses KVM it uses KVM technology, which is pretty sweet. So it uses Splice and KVM and using the Splice protocol, but you can do so much more with it. It's been around quite a while. I started using it back in 2015, but then of course I changed jobs. Then of course nobody else wanted to use it. I just posted it in the chat. That's the site.
Thank you very much.
It's 100%. Like I said, it's 100% open source. I used to build this on. I would take a CentOS box and install the Overt libs for the hypervisor, and then I would just lock down Yum to where it would only get updates for Overt's repositories. And then I would just build my network on top of that. So we had, at the time, we bought a whole bunch of super micro machines because those were the cheapest at the time. And we built the whole infrastructure using Overt. From our domain controllers to everything else.
Yeah, I'm bookmarking this because one of their bullet points caught my eye was support for NVIDIA virtual GPU and GPU accelerated workloads, because that's the thing that I've been struggling with figuring out a way to do when I'm doing anything like password cracking or data mining is passing the GPU or the PCI PCI slot into the VM. So that's that I'm going to be looking at that later.
Yeah,
You can do it in Hyper-V if you're running like Windows 10 or something like that. Or
I was introduced to virtualization and setting up virtual machines in VirtualBox, so that's what I learned first, and has been the only thing. So I need to.
It's really easy on Windows. You just like right click, add some features, enable feature. Hyper-V.
Nice.
Bam, done.
And that's the thing. This is just another option. Like, say if you can't really afford, if your company can't afford like ESXi, even though they
VMware.
Yeah.
There's even a free version of ESXi, I believe.
Yeah, there is, but I don't think you can use it for corporate use. So.
Right.
No,
it's only for development.
Yeah.
But see, you can use this in a corporate environment.
Same with Zen. You can use.
Yeah. Yeah, I ain't heard that word in a long time. Zen works. Novell's coming out of me. Zen works.
Right.
Yeah. But
Zen's still around.
Yeah. But yeah, I just thought that was pretty cool. I started back playing around with Overt like last week. Hence in between meetings. That's why I said that's why I felt a little disturbed when I had to go to the meetings, because I was in the middle of having some fun with Overt and it was taken away from my fun.
Right.
Oops. I revealed it. So yeah. Hey.
So what's this I hear about a Starman?
What about a Starman?
Some dude launched a car into space, man.
It's a Rocket Man.
Woohoo!
Rocket Man.
Oh, Rocket Man. Talk about it.
Wait, have we gotten to that point in the cast yet or not?
We can.
We're past
What's up?
Past it? God
Talk
damn
about it. Get off your chest.
Yeah, go for it. We just passed it, so it's still in people's heads.
Let's pan this out for a minute. In the car, they put a copy of the Foundation series from Asimov. They put a copy of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They put the spacesuit, and they put a sign on the dash that said, "Don't panic."
Wait, was all this stuff like bolted down into the car, or like strapped in somehow?
Like in the glove box and places like that.
Okay.
So what I'm wondering is, did they put a teapot in the trunk?
You know what?
I figured they would have put a towel.
They probably put a monkey in the trunk.
No, do you know why a teapot?
No.
Are you familiar with Russell's teapot at all?
No, I'm actually not. I'm not familiar.
It's essentially a thought experiment that shows if you have it's about the existence of God and all that shit, but it's a thought experiment where if you have a teapot floating around in space, but no one can confirm nor deny whether or not the teapot is actually there, is it there? Kind of thing. It's like, is there enough evidence to say, oh, there's clearly a teapot in space, but there's no way to prove it yes or no?
Like Schrodinger's cat?
Pretty much, yeah.
It reminds me of the Rick and Morty episode where they all get stuck in Schrodinger's, or in like this weird, like, not reality, not anything else thing. Is there's just Schrodinger's cat everywhere.
That was the one where they split the timeline, right?
Mm-hmm. And there's just like 7 like Rick and Morty, and I'm forgetting his sister's name. Whatever. Yeah, that's just as funny. That's just a fun episode to watch. You have to be sure of yourself.
The next thing we know, we'll launch DA667 into space, and he'll bring a visual novel with him. Please tell me everyone gets the joke.
Meow. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I just had to go meow.
Dude, it's okay. I've been playing Nico Parka myself.
Come on, man.
Dude. But it's so fucking cute. It warms my heart.
Oh.
Whoever's playing cricket noises, that is amazing.
I'm laughing. Here. Oh my goodness. But yeah, pretty much, yeah. I know one thing, there's a lot of I am in the background.
Not me. This time.
That would be Will. Fair enough.
Yeah, but yeah, good stuff. Back to what I was saying with Over It, man. I mean, it's good stuff. Definitely check it out if you want to. I mean, it's a pretty good project. I think it's gonna have some serious longevity. I'm not saying it's gonna change the world and that's the end of VMware, but it does give you options.
Wait, what project?
Overt.
What?
Overt. I put it in the chat.
I don't think I'm in the chat anymore. I think I somehow got dropped from it.
It's the
Well, you're in the new chat. You'll be in the new chat. All right, the way I send the invites out for the cast is usually whoever was in the last cast, it automatically starts a Google chat, and I send the link out to that. So you're in this new chat now, and also he's got a chat on the right-hand side here, and it's in the show notes.
Chat. Yeah. Matter of fact, it's in the show notes. Okay. Yeah. So if you, and matter of fact, I need to put that in the show notes as a reminder. Thanks, Adrian.
Yeah, but if you ever actually fall out of one of the chats, just go ahead and DM me, and I can get you the show link.
Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just put the link in the show notes. So anybody wants to reference it later on. But yeah, it's I'm not saying it's going to change everything, but I mean it's a start, and you can have some fun with it and make it grow and do whatever you want with it. Meow. Meow.
Yeah, it looks like it's got some super potential with it. Yeah, I'll play around with it this weekend.
I'm gonna have to play with that, but right now all my hosts are Windows hosts, so I can't do that at the moment.
Why not? Just do it. You'll be all right.
Because it's Linux only, and I don't have a box to fuck with right now.
You don't need Windows. Linux is free anyways.
I can spend most of my time in Linux and more. So you know what? I need to get me a Windows 10 VM set up someplace just to get used to the interface, because I get put in front of a Windows 10 box, and if I'm at the command line, okay, but if they've changed how
it went back to like Windows. So like it's like Windows 7 and the Windows 8 stupid panel thing like came together, and that's the new start menu. Look, pro tip: just right-click on the Windows icon.
No, that does not work anymore.
It does?
No, it doesn't.
Right now, I just did it. Bam. Got it.
No, I'm just saying there were certain things that I liked on the last version of Windows 10 that I was able to access quickly, and with this newer version, they fucking updated it, and it does fuck all for me.
They keep removing the older control panel shit and moving it into the stupid fucking settings app. Which
yes.
Way less fucking you can't do shit in it.
Well, there's a setting I was looking for. I was on a wireless pen test, and I was looking around for one of the things we check for is: are you validating certificates when you connect to a WPA2 enterprise? Are you checking for a very particular certificate? and I can't get to that damn interface anymore in Windows 10. I've looked around, couldn't find it. You can set it when you're creating a new wireless profile.
So you probably need to go to, was it C Windows? I'll find it here in like 20 minutes. Did they?
They buried that shit.
Right?
Yeah, they either buried it or they got rid of it to where you can't do it for.
No. Though it's here. You got to find it. It's in a folder someplace.
And that is the new UI design philosophy for Windows.
No, it's been like that since Windows 7. There was there was something I needed when I was helping a customer, and I had to fucking dig for it. That sucked.
Right. Yeah. I mean, used to, like, you know how you could click on, like, you could click on your network, it's like open network connection settings, and you got the network and settings, you know. And now you got to go to, like, you know, find the network and sharing center, and then change adapter settings. You know.
Then hit the option for whatever you're looking for. Yeah, it's a pain.
Yeah.
It's always funny.
It used to be like one or two clicks away, and now it's.
So, like, I run Windows 10 right now for school in particular, just so that I have cross compatibility with most applications that I'll need. But I prefer Linux just because for the simplicity of it, and the versatility of it as well. But the funny thing is when I would be helping developers that I've worked with that have only, and like Linux is their primary, they'll just all of a sudden be on a Windows machine and they're like, I can't find this thing. I'm like, you have to dig for it. And they'll just not want to dig for it. It's just so funny watching them struggle with it.
Right.
But I've been using Windows machines like my entire life, so I'm used to the digging for it.
I have my MCSA, and I still fucking struggle with some of the, like, every time they change the Windows 10 shit, I'm like, God damn it, where the fuck did my thing go? Like, anymore, I just default to PowerShell. I'm like, whatever, fuck you guys.
just alias the shit out of everything.
Right.
This alias points to this, and then they change your alias. You're like, well, now it points here.
I'm trying to set up Active Directory, and I hate how many hoops I'm having to run through to do this.
Oh, man.
Fucking
So,
L2 Windows Server.
I found something fucking interesting recently.
We're interested.
So, what if I told you I found out message queues, specifically stuff like AQMP and MQTT, it was MQTT, are essentially a really good way to orchestrate pen test tools.
There you
go. You know what? I'll discuss it later once I have a better proof of concept up. But the short version is this: if you use distributed message queues to execute pen test tools, defense tools, and all that stuff, like the salt stack style system, you can scale like a motherfucker.
Okay, cool. So you found all right, scaling tool. Nice. Mm-hmm.
I think I found it.
Also, speaking of finding things, I did, back to the RFID thing, I did find a link to a YouTube video of someone using the SDR Sharp, or sorry, SRD Sharp, SDR Sharp tools to capture RFID data as it was going across the antenna. So, and I put that in chat.
So it seems they're all under the start menu now. So it's program data, Microsoft Windows start menu, program, Windows administrative tools. And that's where you find the stuff now, apparently.
I missed the Windows 7 days of just everything was in the control panel that you needed, or that you really needed to start toying around with stuff system-wise.
You know,
But-
like, so have you heard of the super control panel or God mode control panel?
I actually have not.
God mode. Okay, let's see. So it is. So you create a new folder, and you really don't have to name it God mode dot. You just need this string here. Create a new folder, enter that string in, call it whatever you want, dot that, and it gives you what the creators of Windows use to administer Windows while they're fucking working on it.
That's cool.
And it's like everything's been aliased in here, so like you just start typing like fucking whatever you want to do, and it'll give you that tool. Like they've done a lot of work in making it like foolproof when you're trying to fix something or figure out, change the setting. Find and fix Windows update problems. Or you can choose, PowerShell, but
Anything can be fixed on the command line.
right.
there was one moment where I was working on some web application for work, and my buddy or my roommate at the time knew I was a security enthusiast, and I'd shown him a couple of my security tools, and he looked at my screen. He's like, "Are you hacking right now?" I'm like, "No, I'm working." I had like 4 terminals set up, just running some different backend things.
Should have said all the things.
Just all the things.
Yes, all the things.
Yes, the planet. That just was super funny. So what's up with this deep fakes thing that you put in the show notes, Adrian? Because I can't. Yeah, I obviously can't view it anymore since they've been banned.
Yeah, this is something I think I may have. Not sure who I heard it from originally. I know Adam Morgan has something in his podcast about it, which I gotta say something. I half-ass a lot of these shows, and I get a whole lot of views. Adam Morgan actually does a lot of work in production value in his, and he gets very few views. I mean, he should get some more views than he's getting. So I tried to retweet his stuff, but yeah, he mentioned this. Basically, it was application that one person generated, someone else made a user-friendly version of it that uses machine learning, so my understanding, that you can feed it a bunch of images and videos of people, like a celebrity or whatever, and it will match the facial expressions and so forth and post them on a different video. In this case, they were using it for porn.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So this kind of ties into what we were talking about last week.
Yeah, so this was I've seen a very well done one of Lauren Southern that looked quite realistic. The bigger fear about this is, and the people are taking it down, and I understand why, because it's kind of a dick move to be putting people in porn when they get consent to being in porn. But a bigger concern with this is like news stories and so forth, because anymore, whenever a news agency says Trump said this, or this politician said that, or this political person, I have to, I want to see the video of someone actually saying it, so I get the context and what exactly happened. But as time goes by, that's going to be more and more difficult because people can fake anything, so you don't know what to believe and not to believe.
Right.
Oh, and it's going to make it so that people who genuinely do this kind of controversial or sometimes really shitty stuff can say, no, I didn't do it. It's fake. And they'll have plausible deniability.
That's
so
also a very good point.
Yeah, so it goes both ways. It's awful in both ways. So it's going to be really freaking hard. Like, how would we design a system where any of this kind of information be trustworthy? Because this is going to eventually filter out to the courts, and
well,
my gosh.
Could you, from what I've seen on machine learning, in terms of faking or not faking, and subverting it to or manipulating the data that machine learning algorithms interpret. Like someone said, I think it was like A Tale of Two Cities. Like it gave it like someone's voice recording of that, and then they upped the frequency by like some like arbitrary like value of like a couple megahertz or something like that. And it all of a sudden was the same algorithm that was getting it perfectly. It was saying something completely different, and it was just like totally wrong, something completely new. Which
so you may be able to subvert specific algorithms at this present time by making slight adjustments if you know ahead of time that this could subvert such algorithms. But would that really be that sounds more like something that after a lot of these techniques have been identified, they'll be trained into various machine learning systems and they'll no longer be as effective in subverting them.
Well, I think in this case, wouldn't you be able to know if a file, so let's say you have a video file, you have the original pornographic film, and then you have your modified fake one that has whatever celebrity or person that you've given the machine learning or algorithm to put into that movie. Wouldn't you be able to see at least a certain similarity in the original versus the new fake like
if you know the
of that?
original?
Yeah. But like I'm more worried about like political stuff. Like if the only original is something that someone produced themselves, you know, in like a little sound stage, and then even in a home office. I mean, a lot of YouTubers seem to have decent little home office sound stages for doing this sort of things, and then they add the shit in later on. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily ever have the original.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah,
but in terms of like a legal standing, if you could you might see people, or I would think you would have it be, or you would see people or authorities start to like try and audit it to find an original or something like that. I don't know. I'm just spitballing at this point.
I mean, I can easily see a future where, you know, there'll be an attempt to smear politicians saying he's a child fucker, and here's evidence, photographic or video evidence has been anonymously submitted to the authorities, et cetera, et cetera. You know, at that point, I worry about a future where something like that, where let's say eventually society does get convinced that, you know, there can be plausible deniability. Well, what if actual child fuckers, you know, are able to wave that away saying it's fake and, you know, get elected?
Yeah, but I think also a part of that, I mean, you could plead plausible deniability, but at the same time, you would have to have the person in the photo or inside or that's in the photo, or the child that's in the photo, or the other person that's in the photo, also be some sort of like witness saying like, did this happen or not, and stuff like that. And it kind of can go back to just like the amount of people that will come forward, that would come forward saying like this happened or this didn't happen, kind of thing. Yeah,
that sounds like it's going to be very ugly, and
it's not like a full, like ugh.
Yeah, at some point it's like I mean, obviously we can't really do anything in terms of you know, our public imagery, like walking out in public. Well, actually, I think about it. Police cameras could just say any kind of recording from that is cryptographically signed with a key stored in that camera. Maybe that could be something that could be more admissible, more believable. Of cryptographic authentication. I'm trying to think, what kind of evidence that is currently submitted in court could systems be engineered where the underlying data could be authenticated or verified in a way that it was produced and unlikely to have been spoofed.
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of questions that, I don't think we're going to have to answer that for at least several more years.
Yeah, maybe like 1 or 2, but who knows? The rate that stuff moves now is insane.
Yeah, for recently, I know the theme is that was it. Because I saw an article earlier today about the Chinese law enforcement. I forget which city, but Chinese law enforcement having glasses that have facial recognition built in, or tied to facial recognition systems, and were able to catch several criminals and 23 people with fake IDs just using those glasses. And there's a push in a number of nations, like supposedly to push this from China, essentially giving away their technology to implement that for their police outfits. And there's worries among people here domestically in the U.S. that unless there's any real push from enough people, that law enforcement, state, local, federal, will adopt facial recognition, everything for more than just body cameras. Is that a future we want to live in?
I mean, that kind of reminds me, and it's a very slippery slope from this, but it kind of reminds me of an anime I watched a couple of years ago. It was called Psycho-Pass, and essentially the premise of the show was that if you were a cop, you had these things called the Dominators, and it was basically a gun that just decided via machine learning or whatever whether or not basically it was judge, jury, and executioner. It would judge a person based off of its facial recognition and like a bunch of other vitals that it could read, and then it would decide whether or not to kill that person or just disable them or whatever, stuff like that. So that, and it's not painted in the show to be a good thing. Let's just put it that way.
I'd like to point out that this is exactly the area of research which my recent research, which is now waiting on women to a bug bounty and seeing what they do before I publish, will cause a lot of chaos.
Well,
don't worry, the countermeasures are coming.
Yay!
All right.
Always ready. Always ready for those.
Yay, chaos or boo chaos. I don't know. I'm kind of burnt out right now. My mind is going to blow.
So I might as well just say this right now, since I've kind of openly said this at this point. I've essentially figured out the Laughing Man attack on augmented reality.
Ooh.
Back to refresh our memory, what exactly is the Laughing Man attack?
Well, now, since you're asking what the Laughing Man is, I'll just put it like this. You know what? Is this the proper... Actually, let me find the fucking proper video, because this is too good of a scene.
Okay. Oh, by the way, sideline, how many of you all going to be at B-Sides Nova?
If I could get a ticket, I might go there, but yeah.
I'm going to be there.
Charles is going
I'll be there.
Live, yep. I know you're in the general area. Are you going to be there?
Where is it going to be?
B-Sides Nova, baby. Huh. Hey,
I possibly. I actually had not I looked into it. Give me a moment.
I think the first one was last year.
Yep. The very first one. Yep. I missed the first one last
Here.
year. But...
This is the Laughing Man attack, specifically the facial overlay and shit. Basically, I found a way to get code execution through injecting things in augmented reality that allows things like this to happen.
I like the enemy.
It's Ghost in the Shell.
I know.
I still need to watch
You know what?
that one.
I'm about to download those episodes tonight, man. I need that in my life. So Ghost in the Shell. Thank you. You just gave me something to rock out to.
I'm not much of most anime, but I remember seeing Ghost in the Shell and thought, that wasn't too awfully bad. I know it's based on manga. I heard the movies wasn't so great though.
No, it
The
wasn't.
live action sucked.
I didn't
The
like the
animated
movie.
movies are good, though.
Yeah, I couldn't stand the movie. So yeah, you got me on that one.
I don't know.
Nope.
I mean, if you just look at the movie as just being a movie and whatever, then yeah, it's probably good. But yeah,
Yeah, you know, I'm picky. You know how I feel? Okay, and this is the real deal. I would rather eat cold cereal than watch that movie again because I don't even like cold cereal at all.
Huh? You're an oatmeal man?
I don't even like oatmeal.
Same here.
I'm trying to think of a cereal that's not cold. Pretty much,
I don't like any type of cereal, no hot or cold.
what?
I never did as a kid.
What? No cream of wheat? No grits?
No, none of that.
I want to eat grits.
And my mom, like every morning she'd make breakfast every morning before going to work.
Captain Crunch?
You know what?
Like bacon, eggs. Huh?
Shit, I wish my mom made breakfast every morning.
You know what? I'm going to spoil this as well. You know how my handle is Owie? Would you like to know what it's a direct reference to?
What's that?
Owie is the real name of the Laughing Man in Ghost in the Shell. It's a direct reference to that.
Nice.
Interesting.
So I replicated the attack from the character my name is based off of. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, I gotta download some Ghost in the Shell. Look at you, got me all crazy right now.
Yeah, that's
So I
the
hadn't been
case.
playing originally on B-Sides Nova, but I just looked into it. They already have so will there going to be another round of ticket sales? Or is that pretty much sold out?
I
think it's pretty much sold out, but I think it's just like it's kind of like how with ShreWCon, like try your luck.
I'll go. Yeah. I'll take a look, and if I can't get a ticket, I'll do LobbyCon.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, I'll come.
Oh, did anyone see what happened with DA posting that visual novel lately?
Which one?
Which one?
The Tank one.
What? I've been trying to spend a little less time on Twitter, so I honestly do not know which one you're referring to.
I accidentally caused DA to start playing and live tweeting that tank dating simulator.
Oh, yes, I did see him tweet that. Oh, yes.
I just found out from Dark Tangent's tweet via actually Fiber Optic retweeted it. Apparently, JP Barlow, one of the founders or the founder of EFF, passed away.
Yeah, the co-founder. That's really.
What happened?
I grew up to people just constantly quoting his quoting speeches that he wrote. So
I don't know. I googled up. I just found out now.
Wow.
He passed away in his sleep.
What's ways to go?
He said it was a long time coming, so he must have been sick with something.
Maybe.
could pass away in your sleep in your own vomit. Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember constantly in people in Freenode for years, just constantly quoting excerpts from a Declaration of Independence on cyberspace. So rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Yeah, man.
We've lost a lot of good ones last month.
So you said another InfoSec person passed away?
One of the co-founders of EFF.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I found about him from a hacker book though, because what was that? What was the book that was about Operation Sun Devil? Was that Cyberpunk or?
I think that was Cyberpunk. Well,
We talked about that because EFF was kind of founded around some of the shit that went down with Operation Sun Devil and the busting of various hacker groups online back in the, what was it, 90, 91?
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing they kept putting a lot of emphasis on is the Secret Service didn't just go after hacker groups. They also went after anyone even so much of the role playing about hackers. They just Secret Services came and confiscated the servers because if you mention hacking at all, you must have been a hacker. And that kind of screwed over. I need to double check it.
That's like the Kevin Mitnick generation.
Right.
Yeah, EFF was a lot of things were different back then. Well.
I like
the way I've found to combat nostalgia is always have something to look forward to in the future.
Yep.
Don't look forward just to the past, but to the future. Always have something to look forward to, and that's the way to live life.
Yep. That's the best way to do it, brother.
Yeah, I think recently heard a speech from actually within the past month. John Perry Barlow was speaking at a conference about the Declaration of Independence in cyberspace 20 years later. And actually, maybe last month. It was sometime relatively recently. And he said that even to this day, he still believes in that. That yes, even though governments can imprison individual people who run parts of the internet, can coerce them, the actual internet itself is not a traditionally governable space. Is not something that a given nation can just take over and control the people. And he, despite everything he's seen, still believed that to the very end. So it's definitely, if he still believed that, then even despite everything that has hurt internet freedom initiatives in the past, decade or so, the massive centralization, the various expansions of commercial and government surveillance, that there is still hope, and the future is still yet to be written.
Yep.
So
what's also interesting about,
and I also believe that greatness is earned, not given.
That it is. Absolutely.
I do, believe that.
Another interesting thing about the whole, I'm assuming like the whole FCC net neutrality thing comes into play here. State governments are starting to implement their own forms of net neutrality now, so that's always interesing.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's like Alaska started doing it. I know my home state.
I thought you said stick the first.
I know the National Association of Governors has been pushing that on to the governors who have been in a number of states. The governors are pushing that into legislators, and we're getting it some places. I know the FCC is trying to overturn that.
Which in my
something states right.
Well, yeah, what was that?
Something states right.
Yeah. On the states' rights only when it appeases the
Federal government.
ISPs. It's safety when it's not appeasing the ISPs. Sorry. It's state rights when it suits the ISPs. And if the states are doing something the ISPs don't like, it's for safety reasons. We can't allow the states to do this.
Right.
People are too stupid that they'll choke on. They'll stop breathing if we don't tell them to.
They'll choke on the fucking toy inside of the stupid chocolate egg.
Oh, the
Kinder eggs. Those are here. I can go and get.
Those are illegal because of Nestle.
Yeah,
we got a whole underground thing about getting Kinder eggs into the United States, sneaking them in.
They're illegal because of Nestle, though. Fucking Nestle was like, "Oh, competition, fuck that shit. Gotta regulate it. Government, hey, government, help, government, regulation. Little kids can choke on this shit. Look,
Yep. It's also the whole safety shit. It's also the reason why partly the reason why the DMCA has lasted so long in its current state. We have fucking Apple and other companies who don't want people to have mom and pop repair shops to spring up, and who just want monopolies over repairing things and to get more money, lobbying against it, saying it'd be unsafe if anyone other than authorized Apple or authorized GM vendors.
Which is interesting as I'm in Europe right now. If I go to the central hub of the town that I'm staying in, there are, I think I counted like 5 or so different repair shops, and they do everything from iPhones to flip phones from like 3 years ago.
Is that government regulation that's stopping that, or is that Apple that's doing that?
And that's the thing too. It's like I even stopped inside of an Apple store today because I have an iPhone and I was getting a new SIM card, but
it's
just interesting.
It's federal regulation, but Apple is also lobbying to maintain said federal regulation. Apple and other companies.
It's a fuck that regulation.
Yeah, dude. So I always thought like
corporate powers, man. They're just taking over,
right? Like I'm like, oh yeah, we need regulation, And then I started really looking into I'm like, what? Who fucking lobbied for this? Like some random stupid regulation made no fucking sense, right? I'm like, why the fuck would you regulate that shit? Right?
Exactly, but yet anal beads are legal.
Right? Yeah. So
I'm just saying.
But yeah, so I'm like, who the fuck where'd this come from? What congressman sponsored this? How'd this fucking become a deal? And then I looked into it, and it was one of the large companies. So basically what happens is the company gets so big, and they're like, well, fuck, if somebody wanted to do this, they could easily do this and kind of give us some competition. So we'll make it to where you got to spend fucking, $1 billion to basically get into our fucking field. And, because you got to have this fucking expensive ass thing. And we'll, pay $1 billion to some congressman to get this regulation for fucking, health, environment, and safety, and whatever fucking bullshit they want to put on it. And now there's this huge barrier to entry into this, market because a large company fucking lobbied a congressman to do it. The fucking law is not there for anybody's health or safety. It's fucking all bullshit. It's fucking smoke up your ass, basically.
It is. All of this is smoke. IRS, Department of Defense, Department of Transportation. I just feel like it's all smoke somewhere. I just haven't found the smoke yet. And my ass is not on fire.
There's an enormous degree of smoke. And if you're looking for the fucking DOD, I constantly hear people talk about the entire acquisition system that's pretty much been lobbied in place by incumbent DOD contractors to essentially make it as difficult as possible for new entrants to really encroach on their territory.
What's going on now?
We can think this chat.
What?
Jack's comment of no comment.
Jack got radio silent.
No comment.
Jack said, "The hell with this." Y'all trying
was he?
He knows better.
Jack was read in on not being allowed to fucking talk about certain things.
Jack said, "The hell with this. Y'all not messing up my money."
Right.
Well, I mean, like the Washington Post had this massive, I think it was 3 or so years ago, this massive expose upon the whole federal government contracting system, and that's where I've heard about all this.
It's fucking bullcrap. Like,
acquisition system.
The people that are like in charge of the contracts are government, and then they basically fucking like, as long as the contractors, greasing some palms, or basically allowing the government official that's in charge of the contract to do more than they're fucking supposed to do or allowed to do, you basically get the contract every year. So if you let the fucking government guy do a bunch of shit he's not supposed to do, they continue to give you the contract because they don't want fucking pushback from some new contractor coming in and like, wait a minute, you're supposed to be fucking separated from this process. Why the fuck are you here? And they know that the current people are going to be like, oh yeah, fucking tell us exactly what you want us to do.
Yeah.
Like, the contract process is not fucking transparent enough. That's what the problem is.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of fucking fiefdoms, and I'm sure. The government is so massive. I wonder how much of that, if there's a little bit of attention was actually given to it, the waste could actually be undone with. The regulation could actually be done away with. How much of that is just a relic, so a little bit of pushback, or how much of that is really, here's this really powerful incumbent company that will fight and will make sure it stays in place for forever.
A lot of it's, fucking the people that are there. They don't want to screw up their life or the way they've been doing things. They don't want to make it harder for themselves. And then the people that come in behind them are like, well, that's how we've always done it. And the same thing happens. They're like, don't want to make it harder for myself. This is, I get to basically do whatever the fuck it is I want right now.
This is why I wouldn't do well in that kind of environment. I'm too inclined to move fast and break things. God damn it!
So it's to the point, like the contractors basically have to play by the rules, but the government doesn't, because I wished a government person death, and they could not fire me.
You wish
I wish the old fucker would die. That's what I said. Right? Shit. I said, I wish that old fuck could hurry up and die, because he was a fucking pain in my ass.
Damn.
And I get angry and wish very hurtful, mean things.
It was just software, wasn't it?
Do what?
It was just software, wasn't it?
But they basically couldn't fire me because it would show favoritism to the government. So basically, if I'd wished anybody else death, I would have gotten fired that day. But because it was the government GS employee, I was fine.
I hope.
Well, are you complaining?
Very violent people.
Dude, that sounds like the kind of thing I would want to be able to do. It's like,
no.
Right.
Like, no. Wait, I hope you choke on this applet. Ah!
I don't want to wish anyone death, but goddamn, I'd like to be able to tell my boss off once in a while when they're being a fucking moron without getting fired for it.
You said Ruby stuck? I'm going to stab you with this gem.
Right?
God forbid you stand up to someone who's suggesting you sleep with a person, or someone who's sending you on a pen test without proper authorization.
Uh-oh.
Welcome to my world.
We gotta kill the process. Kill the process.
Killing the process now.
But I was reading like a fucking, it was like an IT book for a cert. I think it was like Net Plus or some shit. I don't remember what it was. But I was reading a book and they're like, oh, you can't fucking read books. I'm like, I'm not doing shit. Like, literally, you told me to come in here and sit in front of this computer. Like, that was my instructions. Sit here and look like you're doing something. So I started reading a fucking book to educate myself. And they're like, you can't read your book. Because the old man said you can't. And I was like, well, I wish the old fuck could die already. And then they got up and ran to the. He was manager, and he ran to one of the directors and threw. I was like, oh my god, he said he wanted him to die.
What's funny is I remember a story that someone told me of. There's a new guy shows up and he goes like a month and he's just reading like a book at his desk like all day. And after he finishes the book, he puts it down and he's like, what am I supposed to be doing here?
See, that shit would scare me. You have an employee, he just reads all day, and that's all he says the whole day. What are we doing? That's Unibomber.
I want my
Unibomber
job to be book reader, god damn it.
It's got to be books you're interested in, though.
Yeah.
Shit, okay, give me sci-fi. Give me
Right.
textbook. Give me sci-fi. Let's have some fun.
I have never had a job where I got to do that.
Got to do
Where the
what?
fuck was this at?
It was a government contract.
I know that.
Actually, no, it wasn't.
I worked
Mine
on
sort of
several.
You gotta say it about the
comment.
government guy. You can't say it about the you can't say it about any of the contract guys. You gotta say it about the government guy. Just say it.
No. I mean, I've gotten into custom matches with GS employees.
Exactly,
And
and the contractors technically can't fire you because it's
Well, I mean, I've heard a
You guys are
situation.
making me want to get a clearance and go fed, god damn it.
Yeah. There's that.
getting a
and
clearance
then-
isn't hard.
No, there's that where you can piss off a certain person and they can make your life a living hell to where you can't cross over, which is what happened to me.
Yeah, there's
Oh, wow.
that can happen.
Apparently, I had pissed in someone's Wheaties a long fucking time ago. Don't know who the fuck it is. Can't find out who the fuck it is, but they said I apparently pissed in this guy's Wheaties. So what the fuck ever.
Fuck your Wheaties.
But
you should have asked them, did they taste good?
but there's an interesting story that I heard. I won't give some specifics, but this contractor wound up pissing off a certain general.
Oh man.
And so the general went through the proper chain and said, "Hey, you need to get rid of this motherfucker." And they came back to him and said, "No, that can't happen." So he said, "You know what? You guys can't fire him, but guess what? I can deny him entry. I can deny him entry into this building."
Really?
Damn. That's mean.
So he got denied entry into the building, and thus they had to fire him.
Shit.
Yeah, when
Hey,
you
you
start
know
talking
something?
to generals and shit, like that's a different story. Like
Yeah.
But real,
that was like
real talk.
12.
But real talk, like, and this is just me, and this is just me dialing up the other Charles. Real talk. If that's some shit like that, something had to happen to that damn general. He'd have to earn them stripes that day. 'Cause I'd be whipping his ass. I'm sorry. Look, you caused me to lose my job, denied entry into the building because you don't like something I said, and I got fired. Oh yeah, no, you ain't going home without being scarred up. I'm getting something out the deal.
The belt is coming off.
Oh, the belt, yep, coming off.
Nope.
Yeah, you gonna earn that. You gonna earn that general title today. You gonna earn that general title today. You gonna look like you've been in the damn war.
Nope.
You mess with somebody's money. When you mess with somebody's money, it's a whole different conversation.
Right.
And
But then sometimes it's best to just go quietly.
yeah, no, it's best to go quietly. But yeah, it is. But then sometimes you just got to break the skin on some people. That's all they understand. Hey, some people need it, man.
You want to know what's sad?
Some people need it. You got to say it to them, like I'm doing what your daddy should have done. Yeah, you
Gotta
got
take it one step further. I'm doing what your mama should have done.
Yeah, no, dad. No, damn that dad. It hurts worse.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody got a mom, but not everybody can say they got dad. So that's why I said it hurts worse. You gotta dig into the skin if you're gonna dig.
You know what's sad about that, bro?
Huh?
There needs to be a stipulation on that whole statement about going for the money kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I got accused of putting my boss's job in jeopardy at one of my former employers because I stopped that pen test.
Oh man.
That's
Well,
why.
I mean, it comes down to do what you can handle.
That's it. Yeah. But just know, like, if you whip the general's ass, just be able to take the consequences that come with it.
It's like a night in jail.
But you better make it. But you better make it worthwhile. I mean, the
Right, you don't
hit
want to beat him too much, and it winds up being like an attempted murder charge.
No, not even attempted murder. Just fix it to where he's only drinking through the straw.
Right.
No, I mean, I mean, there's been times that at a certain military facility where I was at where things happened, and yeah, it just comes down to do what you can handle.
Yeah.
And right now that person, a lot of people's lives were ruined because
of that person.
Yeah.
Going away. Now I feel sometimes, but no. In all honesty, let me put the other Charles back in the closet. But you go back in there now. Here's a cookie. Okay. So yeah. But no, all in all, sometimes it is best to go just move on. Because like 2-3 years down the road, you're not even gonna be talking about that job.
Right.
Well,
it ain't gonna matter.
Well, no, because I had to because when I was let go from my job, I went quietly, and then a year later, a year later, I was back on that post, and there wasn't shit that nobody could do to me because I didn't work for them.
Good. I would have did the Charlie Sheen winning dance.
What's that? You thought my career was over? Nah, I'm making more money now and less stress.
And I'll be screaming, "Winning! Winning!" You gotta throw it out there, man. Yeah. No, but some people some people get people fired just because they don't like me. Stuff like that is just terrible. If you don't like me, just if you don't either love me or leave me alone. Don't mess with my money.
Have to agree. There's only one excuse for doing that shit, and that's if there's a valid reason, not just my feel.
Yeah, messing with people's money is a good way to.
That's a good way to exit this earth.
Right.
A lot of people laying in their graves because of that green. Let me tell you.
No, that situation I brought up earlier, it wasn't about money. It was about the fact that somebody was in what they shouldn't have been in, while somebody was away on a trip.
That cookie jar was something, wasn't it?
Should have locked that shit down.
Right, exactly.
But you're implying that it can't be locked down. That's broken.
Oh well.
Oh well.
I'm an inappropriate person. They'll get over it.
But yeah, it's all good though. But yeah, it's all right. I love it.
Yeah, which is why my key rule is never mess with married chicks.
Yeah, well,
that's very dangerous.
But at the same time, like the fucking the general really can't get mad at the guy. Like fucking, she'd be mad at his wife and be like, "All right, bitch, there's the door."
Nah,
that was a separate situation. That was.
Oh.
It never works that way.
Curious, goddammit. I want to know.
I know, because fucking men have all the rights and shit. That's why.
I swear. I have to go on record. I love hearing Jack's stories. And they be real life stories, man. Oh God, you need a book, brother.
All of Jack's stories.
Never mess with the cat.
No, like I said, it wasn't me.
Sure.
Okay. So here's what happened. This NCO was deployed.
So the other guy might have got blamed for it.
No, this NCO was deployed to Iraq. And his wife was seen around with the government employee.
And the general fired the government employee?
No. So when the guy got back, he decided to have a chat with the gentleman out in the parking lot and shot him dead.
Oh well, that's an appropriate response, but you know
what? You don't want to kill nobody.
Why not?
You're just,
don't fuck around with the man's wife. I mean, just saying.
That solves all problems. The man, no problem. It's why Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump have the right idea.
What's that?
Well, if you kill everyone in a blinding flash of light, maybe a little bit of heat damage as well, and some radiation, there are no more problems on the planet.
Well, yeah, there'll be a problem. It's called survival.
Yeah, because not everyone will
If
die.
everyone's dead, there's no such problem.
Not everyone will die.
No one dies instantly.
Details. I said solve the problem. I didn't say do it cleanly.
Not everyone will die.
No. Well, it's been nice talking to you guys. I better get to bed.
Good night, man.
Take it easy, Andrew.
All right.
Night, man.
Let's see, we got paint on the line now also.
Yeah, let's get painting here.
Yes, I keep missing her stabby streams.
Well, you should be watching my stabby streams. I don't know if you all can hear me yet because I'm still driving home. I just got out of class.
You do stabby streams?
She stabs
I do stabby streams. I'll probably be doing one a little bit later tonight because I just decided at this point, F it, I'm just going to go ahead and use my tether. I blew through 15 gigabytes of bandwidth in 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, she was doing a lot of felting stuff where she makes craft animals out of wool by I don't know exactly how the process works, but you lock the fibers together by stabbing them with a needle and you hook them together.
I got that.
Yes, I got a Twitch stream going with that, and sometimes I do other stuff, but I've come to the conclusion that even with Verizon capping the bandwidth on it, I'm still getting 600 kilobytes a second, which is still 3 times faster than my AT&T connection.
So you well, I can't argue with that.
Right.
AT&T is just crap all around.
Yeah.
That's crap for service, crap for privacy, crap for... Yeah, it's just crap.
Yep.
That's what I'm forced to go through. Although AT&T is the company I called, and the best tech support call I've ever had. I called up.
And best as in...
I've had T-Mobile, when T-Mobile was at their best, they were the best tech support I ever had, and then they tried to outsource shit, and they went to crap, and from what I'm understanding, T-Mobile's starting to come around again, where they're going back to using local only. We had, AT&T was, no, it was Verizon. Actually, the last time I called Verizon, the tech support was incredible. We spent probably an hour on the phone with me trying to figure out different ways we could do the tethering service and who we could maybe hook up to. And try to see if we had Xfinity available, because what they explained was, even if it's your neighbor that has the Xfinity, as long as you have an account name with them, you can log into your neighbor's access point, and it apparently doesn't hit against them because it's like it's more like an open Wi-Fi. It's more like microwave works. So I'm like, it doesn't. What? And she's like, yeah, technically it won't hit against them because you're logging in via a tunnel because it's your own account. I'm like, okay. So I don't know. That was one. I'm like, okay, but that was one option. And then the other one was, she goes, you got 3 phone lines. So technically, if you want to hop between them, you have 15 gigs per line. It's just that when it runs out on one line, you got to switch phones. Or I could get the access point through Verizon, which only has, and then they you can buy more. It's like $30 per 5 after that. And I'm like, I know what I'm going to go through. I know that I'm going to run through crazy amounts of bandwidth in like no time at all because I was done by the 6th. So like, yeah, I ran out last night. So, no.
Move to a state that doesn't have shit internet.
Right.
Indiana, it depends on where you are in Indiana. Every state has shit internet depending on where you are at.
That's true. I live in, like, I just moved to a rather large area and I can only get 25 megs.
Oh, no, we have phenomenal internet here. It's just that where I happen to live, I'm in a hole. And because we actually looked into it, and AT&T was good in the store. If you go directly to the store in Bloomington, they'll walk you through being able to get on the Rural Connect. And the Rural Connect's really good. It's like, I think it was like 100 gigabyte for $100 or $50 a month, and which is excellent, and it might actually be doable. But in order for us to get it at our house, we have to put a tower up. So we need to figure out, and that's a Nightshade question. We have to figure out how tall of a tower would we need to put on our property, or where we'd have to locate our antennas in order to pick up the internet and pump it into our house.
Depends on how high you have to go to get line of sight.
Yeah, and that's the other. Yeah, and that's the thing is like, well, okay, because AT&T was supposed to put antennas up on the Springville cell tower, but they decided they don't want to do it because this I find that the locals are saying the reason they refuse to do it is because Verizon has antennas on the tower and AT&T doesn't want to play nice with them. But I'm like, that doesn't make any sense because I know for a fact AT&T and Verizon and other companies share towers. So I don't know what. So
it doesn't matter.
And then some of those towers aren't even owned by AT&T or Verizon.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter who's on the tower. It matters who owns the tower. They lease the space out.
And it's also like, you go ahead.
Yeah, it's a third-party towers, which is why I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me because I can leave space on that tower if I want, which is one of the things we had discussed because we have line of sight from the cell tower. So I technically could probably throw an antenna up there and then can't antenna it to my house. It's only like a mile and a half. So,
possible they have a non-compete.
There might be, that's possible, but I didn't think there was because I'm pretty sure they're sharing towers at Harrodsburg.
Verizon could have forced the third-party company to sign a non-compete. As in, like, you won't let any of the other cell carriers put up here.
Well, I don't know, though, because originally when it went in, it was that even the people put the tower up said that they were supposed to have both on there. And then I don't know what AT&T's doing. I really don't. But
AT&T is also the company that said that, you know, we have to pay more for internet because we're fucking clogging up their shit old routers.
Yeah, well, no, that was our problem, too. We used to upgrade. Like we could have halfway decent if you would just, even if they just upgraded the CO, we could have better internet. But they refused to even do that.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
your ideal would have been 100 gigabytes a month for wired?
No, it's not ideal. That's not ideal, but at the speed, that's a hell of a lot better than, well, it starts there. 50 gets you 100, and then it goes up from there.
Yeah, this data cap on a wired connection just seems wrong to me.
Data cap on any connection seems wrong to me.
No, question. They are data capping the wired connections because my girlfriend down the street, they started charging her extra if she goes over a bandwidth. And I'm like, but you're weird. Why the hell are they data capping you on your DSL? I haven't seen that on mine yet, but it's actually on her bill. They're data capping for wired connections.
You know, I believe I know what's happening. A lot of ISPs in very uncompetitive areas do that quite a bit, especially Comcast. They think they're pioneering that crap in the U.S. But it's like by saying it's wrong, I mean it's as a practice. I think it is morally wrong. It is not something that it fucking sucks. It's fucking sucks.
Right.
It shouldn't be.
I understand if you want to load balance. I understand if you want to slow down the network if you've got too many points of connection. Okay, fine, load balance it. That's fine. But you shouldn't be data capping it and charging extra.
It's an artificial scarcity. They're creating an artificial scarcity of something that people, but the result limits other possible markets.
The other thing was fucking AT&T.
Originally, when they did it, and I know this. Originally, when they did it, was because the texts were coming around after they brought out DirecTV, and they were saying, "Yep, we're going to push you because there's no new AT&T DSL connections in our area. The box is full. They refuse to add more cards. If they have capacity or not, they won't do it." So if you don't have it already, you're not getting it. And they told us if something else happens to our line, they will not replace it. And so we would have effectively no internet because they were trying to push everyone over to satellite or to cell service. The thing is that's wonderful, except the fact that you don't have a cell tower up in the area with antennas that reaches this area. There's no microwave in the area yet, and I don't see you putting any microwave on the tower. And as far as the satellite goes, I already know how much you want to charge for that shit, or I would have it already.
Yeah, and it's fucking shit bandwidth too.
Really good deal on the satellite. You know,
They are pushing people to mobile. They don't fucking want to build out infrastructure because of regulators and lawmakers keep capitulating to their demands, and so they're going for their higher margin business, abandoning wireline and lobbying against competition for wireline because that would encroach upon their mobile profits.
I'm fine if they want to do that, but they need to support the infrastructure. And right now, there's no infrastructure support. Like I said,
AT&T,
but if you're fine, why would you be fine with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it if it's competitively priced to match, you know, what I would be paying, like, you know, Xfinity if I was landline.
Yeah, AT&T won't pay to upgrade the infrastructure.
Well, they're slowly, but not really, because I don't know where the money's going. I'm paying. Well, why am I paying this rural tax if you're not going to, like, you know, if you're not going to do it? Apparently, they consider Bedford to be rural and Bloomington to be rural. I'm like, no, just because we're in a flyover state does not make the entire state rural. Will you please bring the shit out here to the farm? Matt's me to push for this too. He's been doing a lot of the farm tech, and I know the state of Indiana's pushed for it, and there's a couple other bills that are trying to be pushed for it to get internet out to the farms, because most of the newer equipment, John Deere's have to be updated via internet now. They're all, most of these combines are driven via iPad and iPhone. You know, a lot of this stuff needs to have the network set up. And if you go south of us, I don't know if Adrian remembers, if you go south to Dinky's, the Amish farm auction, I can get it on WiMAX because they have the entire area south of Crane is networked via the WiMAX, and I can get amazing connectivity down in the middle of farmland, but I can't get shit in the house. If I go north 15 miles, I can get fiber dropped to my house. So I just happen to be in that dead zone.
If you're gonna like lobby for that shit, make sure to lobby for something good. Because if you're been getting dicked over for so long, don't just settle for the good enough at this point.
I would like them to light the fucking fiber and bring it into Springville. We have fiber that goes to that tower. I'm pretty sure we double checked it. It's not ISDN. It's actual there's a fiber link to that cell tower, which means that there's fucking fiber right downtown. It's just they need to bring it across the street and plug it into the goddamn CO. So we could get a fiber link if they would actually do their shit and run like 3 miles worth of fiber. And I'm actually at that point where it's like, fuck it, I'll pay for it and run the shit myself. You know, I'll get the neighbors together and we'll put the damn fiber in. Just fucking hook it up. So that's really what we're at right now. And I've had Comcast tell me that. It's like, oh, well, all the new developments, we don't run any of the cable that's put in by the contractors, and we just hook you up with the road. I'm like, well, that's the shit. Why the hell don't we just run cable, and then hook us up at the next closest closest point. So,
well, I mean, who's gonna chip in and pay for that?
Well, if we get enough neighbors together, we can do it. And the thing is that there is grants available. So if we can get even if we can get a 50-50, like we pay this much to do a matching grant, so that there's ways to do it. Plus the county, I'm pretty sure, has a couple programs also. The thing is getting it going, but you need to kind of have that in place. Because look, this much.
As well as the easements and all that other bullshit regulations to get it there. I mean, are you going to bury it or overhead?
Well, but I'm just saying, on the plus side is our locality. Most of pretty much, I'm pretty confident all the way down Spencer Pike, all those neighbors would be okay with it. I know our easement, because my driveway's an easement. I know Kenny would be okay with it, especially considering that he cannot get internet at his house right now except for satellite because he just moved his house downhill, so now he's at the same level that we are. And I'm like, we can pop you antenna or whatever to your house. We can get you internet. It's just that we need this done. So I'm pretty sure he'd probably be willing to run it down his line too. So there's, or down the old train tracks. I mean, there's places that would make logical sense.
So lobby your lawmakers, have like taxpayer-funded local internet to take care of this. If the commercial side is not picking up their slack, then lobby to get what you want done. I mean, would you pay a little bit extra taxes for actual internet?
Yeah.
At this point? Then, yeah, like talk to your municipal lawmakers. Like, try to go to the meetings, like push them to make it happen.
Or they
no state law to stop it.
Go, Papa, go!
Or even have the politicians threaten to do that, because I mean that's what happened when Google said that they were going to come into this city. First thing that Xfinity, Spectrum, whatever the fuck it is, and AT&T started doing was, oh well, we can upgrade everybody's shit.
Well, they say that so they don't do it. Oh, see, now that's the best ISP that we got. And he just took him down. Sorry, guy. Dude, I don't even know how he didn't see that cop sitting there. He was just like totally obvious in the medium. Not me. I got worried. What's doing that fast? All right. Ugh, so much dumb. But no, they do that all the time. But yeah, we can totally offer this, and then they totally just screw you over. But AT&T's been really bad, really bad.
I see one last thing in the show notes. No is not a boundary. Still no is not a boundary. I can reach the sky, and if you say no, that's just wants me to try harder. I'm not sure what is this thing about?
What's the reference for no? Are we talking about holding other people back? Are we talking about
I don't know. I didn't put it in the show notes.
I'm gonna go for no is not a boundary when it comes to doing my job. Like, it's okay. I can do it and go ahead. So I'm gonna take this as a very positive swing. That's what I'm gonna take it. No, you can't do it because no, you know what? I can do it. Teach me. Speaking of
get a random security topic.
Actually,
So recently, Namecheap, the DNS registrar, had a vulnerability that they've since patched in one of their servers, misconfiguration, that allowed other people to register subdomains on domains that you had registered. What was that, Paint?
So, okay, MiriamConnolly.com, then they can register whatever, xxx at MiriamConnolly.com.
Yes.
I'm pissed. So that means I have to basically take up every single fucking subdomain on my server now.
That is a potential infinite space for however long a subdomain can be. But anyway, they've since resolved that. That's been completely patched. But conceptually, that fact that this was even a kind of vulnerability for a time, this makes you think that, let's say it happens again in the future, or with any arbitrary DNS registrar who registers a subdomain under your main domain. So this could, I think, of the kind of attacks that could happen. Like you have a wildcard SSL cert for all your subdomains, then that means that a potential someone else's website registered under your domain has now been quote unquote authorized by your own cert.
Yeah, that's an absolute nightmare. And I mean that's that whole trust relationship. How would you trust anything? I mean, right now it's like, okay, if I type in PayPal.com, I trust I'm going to PayPal. But if you got a subdomain now, I mean, how's that gonna?
Or I can run a phishing site, and it be a very successful phishing site, and Mary would go to jail, and I keep my money.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's the other problem. So, some bit.
Free bitcoins.coinbase. Whatever the fuck.
People talking about fucking crypto. That's gonna be.
Buy these bitcoins, submit them here, and then we'll triple them.
Buy these
I
bitcoins.
still can't believe fucking Ponzi coins got off. And that
Oh my
banana
God.
coin that ended up with someone writing the word dicks in his website and then running away with the money.
Oh,
No, he wrote the word penis on his website and then ran away with the money.
yeah.
Hey, I have an idea for an ICO that I want everybody to consider being in on.
What?
Bitcoin. You have to pay Ethereum in order to apply patches to your network.
What?
Is patch management on the blockchain. You have to pay Ethereum every time you want to patch.
I guess that could be one way of confirming to auditors in a public manner that you are in fact compliant without them needing to visit your site and scan everything.
Maybe.
No, I'm gonna go the old way, and I'm just gonna patch, and you guys can come fucking scan all you want.
No. The old way is you will take away everything that you will never patch and just hide it from the auditors, and when they go away, then you put it back there.
Yeah, that's pretty much sounds accurate.
Hello, how are you?
Sorry, I'm trying to look up something for a friend.
Oh,
Think
so
of the money that could be made. Think of the money that
Adrian.
could be made scamming all those poor fools.
What's up?
Adrian, will you be at B-Sides Nova?
Yes.
Awesome. So maybe I'll see you there.
Set to record. I recorded last year, and I'm recording this year also.
Oh,
I
neat.
might contact them about arrangements for a hotel, because they contacted me, and then I asked back what hotel should I schedule it at, and they never responded. I need to contact them again.
Worst case, if you don't mind a little bit of a commute, you can crash at my place.
Woohoo!
About half an hour away.
House party.
I want to warn you guys
Yeah.
something. B-Sides Nova might explode because it's going to go Nova.
Okay.
Well, if you want that to happen, then just invite some Antifa and Milo Yiannopoulos, and you'll have something close enough to an explosion.
Actually, I know a hacker that was trying to get Milo Yiannopoulos to speak at some hacker cons.
Oh God, that would be amazing.
I want that to happen just for the entertainment value.
Exactly, that would be fucking amazing.
Anyone who takes Milo seriously after the excerpts from his book came out is a fucking moron. I mean, has any of you actually read the excerpts from his book? He's a fucking unironic Polak.
Polak?
It's a reference to some of the people who unironically believe a lot of the internet memes posted on the poll message board on 4chan. So, like, he constantly speaks a lot of internet memes, but takes them very seriously. A lot of the conspiracy theories, white nationalism stuff, but with the 4chan flair of being a living contradiction. Advocating again, yeah, but anyways, it's... If you haven't read some of the excerpts from his book, I can link it to you a little bit later. It's you don't have to take my word for it. It's a very interesting read.
I listened to the audiobook, but it seemed like pretty much the same kind of stuff you normally see during his talks.
Did the audiobook have the pre or post edited version? Book Dangerous.
Yeah, talking about the book Dangerous, yes.
Oh. And the audiobook had the version of his book that was submitted in the court document to the publisher?
That I don't know about.
Well, that's the version I'm talking about. I didn't know the actual book itself got published.
The court document one was epic.
Yeah, anyways, we'll talk about that later when I can get you some of the excerpts.
Okay, nope.
I'm just going to say this right now, and I thought I was a train wreck. Christ, that guy. I feel sorry for him. He must have lost his soul. I don't know how.
Huh?
Yiannopoulos.
Sorry, I mean you kind of got cut off a little bit there.
Milo.
What about him?
He must have lost his soul somewhere.
Lost his soul?
Yeah, dude, he's a fucking train wreck. I mean, if he actually unironically believes that shit, what the fuck?
What does he unironically believe that you have an issue with?
Let me try to think it this way. He was making a lot of very group-based statements in a. He was constantly railing against the retards, the fatties. In his book, he was making a lot of statements that normally would have individual attribution and attributing to them to a broad group. He had an entire section about why homosexuals should go back in a closet, but didn't really make any kind of argument. It was just sounded like a bit of a stream of a post from Pole. A lot of it was just very incoherent.
Yeah,
it's not so much
pretty much like a book version of the stuff he usually talks about.
Yes, but a little. Yeah, it was concentrated that. And the notes from his editor were also equally entertaining.
Oh God!
The editor that was trying to enter this book was it got very dramatic at a lot of parts, to the part where he was just saying no, 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 God no, why are you saying this? I will not. He crossed out entire sections saying that he will not allow this to go forward under the name of his publisher, of Schuster and the other name, I forget the full name of the publisher.
Simon and Schuster?
Sounds right, Simon and Schuster.
Simon and I have a friend that works there. I do a lot of semi-independent stuff.
Yeah, I'll link you to the book as it was uploaded in the core. It's full of all the. I honestly, I'm reciting this from memory, and I'm not enough in me remembering good as the book itself.
You're breaking up.
Me?
It was.
Hold on. But if you want to go for specific things for why I disagree with, the sections where he says homosexuals should go back in a closet, the parts where he says everyone who is into feminism is there because they're a fatty, which shit posting, shit talking, fine, but if he's trying to make a serious book, that's not really a coherent anything. That's just shit talking.
Yeah, chances he didn't like the editor and just wanted to drive them completely insane.
Yeah, possibly.
That might be a valid point.
He might, because he's the kind of person that would write shit just to completely screw around with. Anyway.
There's a theory that everything else he's written was written by kind of screened by someone else, and this is his actual unfiltered writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the book I ended up listening to, because I bought the book, but I got the audio book to listen to, because it was just, I have a hard time sitting down and reading shit anymore when I'm driving places and so much to listen to it. And it reminded me very much of pretty much his university talks.
I can believe that. He had entire sections just railing against fat people over and over again as well. But yeah, that's university talk-esque. Oh, and his ego. That was I love the style, but
dude has a huge ego. I will.
Oh my God, that is. I love it, but it's an acquired taste.
So Howard Stern.
I would probably say a little bit more egotistical than Howard Stern. Maybe if Howard Stern was also Hollywood gay, at 110% Hollywood gay. And also a troll.
Yep.
I do want to sometimes plays it up just a little bit. Like I know a guy who used to go to a lot of hacker cons. When I was first getting into the hacker con scene, it was a guy. He was affectionately known as Little Gay Al, because his name was Al, and he was very flamboyant at cons. But my understanding is his day-to-day life, while he was gay, he didn't, he wasn't normally as flamboyant as he was at cons. He deliberately put on extra flamboyancy just to mess with people. Apparently, that's what I was told.
Oh yeah, that's the entire premise behind being a troll. It's you don't do it because you seriously believe it. You do it for the attention. I doubt he seriously believes that homosexuals should go back in the closet, but I think he's far more interested in getting attention than he is in being serious.
Yeah, I think his statement in that was something along the lines of, on average, homosexual men have a higher IQ, and them not being in the breeding gene pool means that particular set of genes is not necessarily getting passed on. That was one of the things I remember him saying in I don't know if it was in that book, but in one of his talks, perhaps.
I need to say this right now.
I can believe he said that.
IQ is a unit of measure is an idiot.
You cut out there, Howie.
Anyone who uses IQ as a unit of measure is an idiot.
Nothing is perfect, but my understanding is they do actually tie IQ measurements to rates of success pretty well. And nothing's ever perfect in measuring human beings, but my understanding is high IQs is pretty well tied to success. It's not an absolute because my brother has a higher IQ than me, but are you listening, Bethard? But no, it's not an absolute thing, but I don't know what I'd say. IQ has no bearing in anything.
So are we going to do whose horse is bigger?
Oh, hell, I don't even know what my IQ is now. My brother knew it one time, and I remember him always pointing out that his was higher than mine.
I remember in high school, they had me do an IQ test. I got like a math IQ of like 60 and a fucking linguistic IQ of like 130, and I'm like, what?
130 is good. That's superior to very superior intelligence.
Yeah, but my math was like 60. Like, no bullshit. It was like 60.
I have to ask my brother about it. I don't know where I'd even get the information.
Speaking of things, would anyone be willing to go in as a small team at on just for fun to do some capture the flag online? Because I've never actually run through one. I'd actually be interested in at least kind of getting an idea of how that's done.
Sorry about that.
Well,
should we should break up a little bit less now?
Okay. But yeah, what I was asking, would any of you guys would be willing to go into like a little capture the flag just for fun? Because I've never actually done one, and there's a couple websites that I just signed up on one today, and I'm like, this is interesting, but I have absolutely no idea where to even start on this.
I'd love to.
I'm in. I'm down.
Okay,
Hack the planet. Hack the planet.
Tell you what, I'll give you all the info maybe next week if you guys want to do like a live kind of walkthrough for sort of a capture the flag training. Because like I said, there's all these different servers and stuff. I'm like, well, I kind of understand what each of these are, but I had to look into it a little more. Like, what is it totally a free for all? Like, you can use Metasploit, you can use Wireshark, you can use whatever you want. Your tools are your own, and you can go, or do they get, or how does this normally work?
Typically, it's free for all, except ARP spoofing is traditionally frowned upon in any CTF I've been in. ARP spoofing and physically disconnecting things, which one a team. Yeah, well, that's not really a thing here.
Well, for this one, I doubt we'd be able to physically connect it because I think it's all VMs, but unless you're Tron.
At one point, I was in a CTF where somebody set up a Wi-Fi pineapple to jack everybody's connections to the scoreboard and just auto-submit their scores as their own. Auto-submit to the correct.
You know, the hacker community is the only community that can get pissed off but kind of accept that as okay. Well,
at that point, it's kind of like he deserves to win.
Yeah,
he or she deserves to win.
It's like, all right, well, you had the best idea.
It's like he hacked the competition. He or she hacked the competition. It's therefore their right to have won the first place.
Yep.
That's the reason why the U.S. Cyber Challenge no longer allows you to use Wi-Fi in the CTF. That was at the U.S. Cyber Challenge camp in 2013.
I was actually looking at because the thing is that they're doing. I have to I need to announce this because if there's anyone else in Indiana listening that's got a girl in high school, you need to know about this. Even though the choice of website and choice of name for this was probably not very well thought out, Girls Go Cyber is a high school female only competition for in Indiana. So you can have teams of one through 4.
They knew whoever came up with that name knew exactly what they were doing.
I hope so.
They knew exactly what they were doing, and they knew management would not know.
That's the worst name for this ever. But my kid's interested in doing it. But I'm looking. I don't think she's not going to be in high school till next year. So I'm like, I don't think I can get you in on this yet. I think you have to wait for the next round. But I think it's really cool that the state's doing that, where they have this competition with a bunch of games and stuff online for them. But yeah, so look into it. But it's Girls Go Cyber.
They knew what they were doing.
You need to find out who named the competition and just give them the stink eye. Just walk up to them, give them the stink eye.
Oh yeah, we got.
Hey, Beef, did I ever tell you about the time I accidentally said something on Twitter that got me the stink eye from the head of the U.S. Cyber Challenge?
I 100% believe it happened, but no, you have not mentioned this to me before.
Okay, so what happened was back in like the 2013 U.S. Cyber Challenge camp, I started tweeting about how I was having an awesome time in the cyber camp, right? So you know how the C and the X are right next to each other on the keyboard, right? I accidentally tweeted while I was adding US Cyber Challenge with the hashtag InfoSec instead of InfoSec.
InfoSec, you said?
Yeah, SEX.
Just means you're just really, really passionate about the government initiative to bring people into the realm of internet roleplay chat room sex.
Penetration testing is very important, and you should be passionate in the InfoSex at all times.
And afterward, Karen Evans was looking at me when I was in the fucking area. She was looking right at me with the stink eye during the closing ceremony. I was like, "You fucking asshole!"
Oh Lord, Girls Go Cyber. But yeah, no, reflect. I'll send you guys the links to that stuff, and maybe we can do something next week to figure out how this little thing.
Sounds good to me. Just give you as much of a heads up as you can for like scheduling or timing for that, so can plan around that.
It'd probably have to be like after. We usually wrap up class like 8 or 9. I don't know, what time is it now?
It is 9:25.
Yep. Y'all casts are getting better. I remember some of our earlier casts pass out drunk, and I'd pass out, and y'all continue talking for the next 8 hours, maybe. Well, actually, no,
close enough.
2 hours, and then in silence for another 3. Some of the early Irongeek casts were a little bit, yeah, unstructured to say the least.
I thought you cut back on the drinking, Adrian, so it's less likely to happen.
I did. I went 4 weeks without drinking at all, and now I've basically just cut it back to some on the weekend and on Tuesday nights when I go drink my beers with my buddies down at Richo's.
All right. And then there's a OBS plugin that's supposed to be able to push OBS out to Google the Google Hangouts.
Hey, I have an idea. We should just have a streamed Let's Play of Nico Parka.
What's that?
It's a visual novel involving cat girls.
I'm not a weeboo, man. I like Cowboy Bebop, and Ghost in the Shell is kind of cool. And I guess I did like Rama 1/2, but I'm not a big fan of most anime.
I mean, dude, you can set up your own Twitch account and do that all you want and get your Discord set up. And I'm sure you got plenty of followers.
Would be kind of funny.
I gotta go do my animals, and I'll probably hop on and stream for an hour or so tonight with my Purple People Eater. I'm filming a Purple People Eater.
Don't look at the cat girls like an anime thing. Look at them like the Japanese sex thing, like they initially were. Which probably doesn't help in the slightest.
No, not really. Now, because now you're in the realm of furry.
Well, you can't deny to me that cat girls were anything other than a kind of a sex thing for Japan.
I didn't say I did deny it, but now we've entered furrydom, and that's.
Hey, what about Stay Democratic People's Republic of Korea?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at your videos.
I'm gonna head out now because I got goats to feed. So I'll catch you guys later.
All right. Does anybody have any extra content they want to end the stream with, or anybody have anything else they want to bring up?
Let me think.
I did hear about something interesting from a generic hacker internet freedom politics thingy. For some people who've been following the attempts to overturn, there is an anti-sex trafficking law that's been making its rounds through Congress. It's named SESTA, S-E-S-T-A. One of the things people are freaking out about with the law is it would suddenly impose a great deal of liability on any website that allows public submissions of anything. If they, I forget the specific wording of it, but it's something to the effect of if a sex trafficking ad somehow ends up, or sex trafficking advertisement of any sort ends up on your website, you are suddenly liable, which would effectively mean people would need to proactively vet every single comment before it's actually publicly visible, which would kill so many platforms.
Yeah, I mean, Safe Harbors is one of the good things about. Safe Harbors provision that was part of crap. Remind me the law's name.
Communication Decency Act.
Was that what it was part of?
Section 230 of the CDA, Communications Decency Act, had shielded intermediaries from any liability of the content of the third parties that posted on their website, so long as once notified, they had removed the illegal content.
Okay. Yeah, because it's not practical to expect people to be able to monitor absolutely everything.
Yeah. A lot of governments still have not figured that out.
You're implying
to the thing that I found, that reason I brought that up, for the more topical part of it, as that's kind of been a debate for quite a while now. Some people have been looking into a lot of the nonprofits that have been pushing this primarily, and getting it to the attention of politicians. Found kind of an interesting practice that's apparently common in a lot of nonprofits advocating for public policy shit. Namely, in that there's a lot of nonprofits whose sole purpose is advocacy, and then donating their money to another nonprofit. So you have all these nonprofits that seemingly have these massive budgets where it's just actually a nonprofit spends a little bit of money, pays their leader a hefty sum, then donates the rest to another nonprofit, and then it just keeps cycling and cycling and cycling, and so their balance sheets look pretty freaking hefty when the actual money into that whole thing is a lot less than it seems. Though because so many different organizations are pushing this, who have been around for quite some time, people collecting paychecks, that's kind of how it's partly how it's gotten so much traction on so many states. So I just wanted to just highlight the practice of nonprofit. I don't say money laundering. It's just money. I don't know the best way to put it. Just highlight that practice from like a political policy internet standpoint.
Looking in the
That's
book.
it. What was that?
Looking in the book.
It's not illegal. They're not cooking the book. It's just if you don't understand how the books are, if you don't understand how to read the books, it looks like there's a lot more money in there than there actually is, which can be intimidating for new entries or people, new entrants to the whole field, or people trying to advocate for more sane positions. It's a lot more intimidating to go up against fucking hundreds of billions of dollars rather than maybe 2 billion, which still is pretty intimidating, but a little less insane.
It's pretty much all.
That's it. That is my piece to end it with. Oh, yes, and Hack the Planet.
Hack the Planet.
Gentlemen, you all have a good evening, and I'll catch y'all next week.
All right.
Have a good one.
Bye, folks.